I'm so inspired by you, and you know,
Let me say that it's obviously Kanye is one of my inspirations. I created a whole lane for him on one of my channels, so I'm gonna follow what he does. I'm gonna look at what he does because I think genius is misunderstood, and hence Kanye's current situation.
the inspiration that you've had in Aloe, your street sense, your street vibe, and we were talking a lot about that today. And for him, to take the time out and come down and see what we're doing, and then him telling me that our manufacturing and our excellence and our efficiencies were inspiring him. I mean, what a compliment. And we were trying to define, like, how would we call this excellence? What would it be? And we established this is the yay of manufacturing.
Oh, sick. Love that.
That's the highest compliment. I mean, under God is for me to say it's the yay version, because
So
only
good.
God can have the God version. But right underneath that is the yay version.
So good. But we talk about aloe being a badge and that it means when you're wearing it, it stands for something. It's
Absolutely.
So I don't know much about this line. I'm gonna look into them on another video. I'm definitely gonna do what I can to check them out. Obviously, they fell under Kanye's radar, so now I'm curious to see who they are. But I will make a comment. If I had to choose a shirt between what's being worn right now, I'm gonna have to go with this dude Aloe. That baggy style, I'm not with it yet. Maybe because I prefer not. I mean, I like bagginess to some degree, but I think it's getting a little crazy, and I don't really like it so baggy. I like the snug fit still.
Absolutely.
what you were talking about. And, Danny, when we started doing this a long time ago, you told
See,
me
look how baggy that shirt is. Shit is huge.
what it stood for almost 10 years ago. You had the vision of mind body wellness and bringing, you know, mental peace to people and through movement and mindfulness. And
Well, thank you. And of course, I mean, team efforts, building and inspiring these incredible teams, positive attribute. He, not,
Okay, I want to hear Kanye.
Mom texts him like long paragraphs. He reads the first sentence and the last sentence. This person and his brother invented the fastest track vehicle. They put it in GI Joe. They have government contracts. This guy is a full-on engineer, works with all geniuses, and for practical, not opinionated, you know, practical technologies. And he only reads the first sentence and the last. And what do you think my response was? Same.
myself, I just went through high school.
First and last sentence. I think I'm gonna implement that to some of my strategies. That's the most important. I mean, they teach you that in writing, right? The introduction and the conclusion. That's ultimately you're explaining what you're about to do. The paper or whatever you're writing is a breakdown of what you just mentioned in the introduction, and then at the end is the conclusion. At the conclusion, it pretty much summarizes everything that was in the paper anyway.
I started this company with my best friend, when we were teenagers.
No disrespect. I'll get to you. I want to hear Kanye.
2,000 years from now, situation where we had this one moment earlier where he asked me about the fabrics, and I didn't even have to say a word. We literally just were like communicating with like a head nod, like straight Jedi. That was the one moment that showed where we'll get to, where our great great grandkids or our kids and our grandkids will get to that level of language, because the Tower of Babylon, English, the idea of having to speak correct English, like you're not going to respect what I'm saying, even though you know what I'm saying, unless I'm speaking correct English. Well, that's like a version of every time I'm talking, I'm getting pulled over and having to do a alcohol test, walking down a yellow line with my.
So I want to stop right there. He definitely touched on something I always felt to be true. If you can understand what someone's saying, if you stop to correct them because they're not saying it in the way that you were taught is correct, that's already an issue for me. Now it's different if you're dealing with children and they're school age years, they're elementary. They have to be able to bring those skill sets to their class. But if you're not listening to someone because of the manner in which it's being communicated, that right there is a problem. And I think we're all human. We're all there, especially if we don't know someone. They say something in a tone that's uncomfortable. We're already on guard about who we're talking to, and we don't know them that well. So I get that, and it just kind of makes me want to reflect on perspectives. Like people will look at something, see what you're saying, but because of some bias or some emotional reaction that they're probably not even aware of based on what happened to them, they'll respond in a way that's uncomfortable. Like, oh,
My finger on my nose, and while I want to express myself, and I've seen like kids express themselves and they just want to cry, and someone will say, "Use your words, right?" But what if they want to cry because we were given that form of expression and people hold that in, hold that. I had a friend that you never saw him break a sweat until we were at his funeral.
wow, that's powerful. That reminds me of the Asian community, right? You never seen him break a sweat until we were at his funeral. So, I think we do hold a lot in, and it is important. This is fashion, but now I'm kind of leaning toward emotional intelligence. We're leaning into psychology, and I think he's reflecting a little bit of himself here because we're human, and we have a lot of tension, we have a lot of stress, and we go through things. Crying is good. It's natural. Take the time to do it. Let it out. I would personally say do it in the bathroom. You know what I'm saying? You ain't got to show nobody it, but you need to go through it. You really need to actually process that because it's a natural shit. It's an internal emotional shit as far as I'm concerned.
And that was the head of Louis Vuitton, Virgil Abloh. We never saw him break a sweat until we were at his funeral.
Wow.
So I'm looking to Virgil Abloh. I've heard about him, and I know him and Kanye were close. I don't know the details of the relationship, but definitely somebody we're gonna make a video about. We're gonna look into him.
Oh, people down expression. And I'm saying be expressive. I'm showing let's be expressive. Now we talk about language. What I did
People down expression.
realize is it's sometimes it's not that I'm not right. Wait for it, watch I gotta go. Here we go. Sometimes I'm just not right now.
I like that. See, Kanye, and I always said that about Kanye, and I say that about a lot of people who I personally believe are geniuses. And when I say genius, I don't necessarily mean that they're just so smart. I think they're innovators. I think the better word is visionary. So when someone has a vision and they can see something so far ahead of time, they start operating in that time because they know they're catching up to there eventually. So when they get there, people are like, oh, you were ahead of your time. But no, I was criticized. I had rocks thrown at me. I was pointed at. People made fun of me, laughed at me, did hurtful things to my kids. But I was just living in a different time. So I get that. I'm not right, but I'm not. But I may not be right, but I just may not be right now. I think is the way he said it.
It's not right now. It's not that
Right.
you're not right. It's just not right now.
Mm-hmm.
So
You're too ahead of us. Okay? You're too ahead of us.
and I have to like be here because that's not a good thing to be too ahead because what do you do then? You lose the audience.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. I've got this technique.
Yeah, you lose the audience, unfortunately, but you gain, and it's difficult because I found myself there a lot of times too. That I exist in almost a future version because I'm always grinding, thinking about what I need to get done. I just want to get it done, whether it's finishing my master's degree, whether it's finishing my law degree, whether it's finishing my psychology degree, whether it's this fashion business, whether it's my music career, whether it's acting, whether it's whatever the hell it is. There's so many different things I want to do, so I just don't have time, and I've realized that if I could take, I wish I had more time, and I want to give a public apology to those people who I may not sit right with them for some reason because I walked past them and didn't say hello, or I did something that maybe they didn't understand, or the way I carried, it was something about me that they just couldn't get, and they just, there's something about him I don't mean to be offensive or disrespectful. It's quite the opposite. You know what I'm saying? I'm quite sensitive to people's emotions. I like to think I'm an empath, and I really care. I feel, and I sense, and I genuinely want to invest in people. I just don't have the time in a lot of ways. And if we're lined like a train, you can get in front of me, behind me, and we can just push together. But it's hard for me to kind of look to the left and look to the right unless I'm moving along that trail. And that's just my experience.
This Instagram ideation thing where I just start channeling. I think all the jokes myself. I cut and paste memes and everything myself. I put animated things up. I just take my whole operations and we start doing stuff, and it just like flows. And this is like my kind of third or fourth one or something. And have you ever like, like heard Amy Winehouse's first album versus the one she was doing later? She was still her, but then like this kind of past weekend, now all of a sudden everyone's starting to love Amy Winehouse.
First off, Amy Winehouse. I think I have a crush on Amy Winehouse. I always have. I just thought she was just like beautiful. You know what I mean? And I don't get like that with people. It's just a lot of people I see. Okay, you're cute, you're cute, you're cute. But she has something inside of her. I just thought was like, whoa. Like I like her. You know what I'm saying? And not a crush, maybe intimately. More like I just like her energy.
They didn't understand. They didn't understand that super skinny girl with all those tattoos and that voice, right? So they didn't understand me as a Brand Jordan, as a rapper, as the Black Brad Pitt, the Black Leo. No, so, and it's so many people that every person I bump into is like, yo, I want to do that so bad. I want to put some people up there because that's another thing. It's like if people knew that they couldn't, people only do what they can get away with. Mm-hmm. So it was a bunch of people thinking they could get away with stuff, and that's why I was like, yo, maybe my reputation's not bad enough.
And in terms of reputation, I definitely want to say this. I've learned this with people. If someone decides right now to cancel me, they will remove all of my channels. They will affect my life. They will say things about me. No matter how powerful you are, there are people who can pay to slander you and say whatever they want and make a lie look like the truth. It's just the way it is. So I don't focus on reputation no more. I focus on character. I think I said that in one of my songs. I don't think about my reputation. All I have left is character. You know what I mean? Like that's all you have is character, who you actually are. So you improve that, you work on that, you build on that, you focus on that, and that's it. You move forward with that. Reputation is in the hands of other people. Like this. I don't like you no more. We're gonna slander you.
If you feel like you can get away with that, right? But let's talk about language. The dove. What I realized is right now, the dove is like us speaking. Like we'll look back at this, it'll sound like we're like, here, see, like it sounds. This is going like, and at the rate with guys like me and you connected, at the rate we're gonna go in evolving humanity, because there's certain, just throughout time, humanity can literally sit in one place. Even to change the term from humanity to the species, to evolve our species, is in the right direction. There's one thing I would do. I would play this dictionary game. Okay, let me make this point clear. I hate the word point. Let me make this idea clear. Let's make this idea clear. Remove the word me. That's a style of language that I've been practicing and learning, where we're just taking out all those years and years of classism, because that all that stuff that's in a dictionary is I'm better than you, I'm smarter than you. And when we get to what we absolutely need, if we need to use words, it gets to like Yoda level, like the simplest thing, right?
Simplicity in language, subjectivity, the removal thereof, using language like us, we, can, removing certain words. And I touched on this when I was in some of my community service work, some of the jobs I've done, working with young people, working with fathers, working with mothers, right? It was always about language. It was always about thinking, the process, what we choose to allow into our filter, removing anything that was not feeding us and not providing and giving and inspiring. And it was some of the greatest work I was fortunate enough to be able to do, because as I was teaching it, I was reflecting and living it. It was embodying through me. So I was the practice of that. So what Kanye is going now, we passed fashion. So I'm going to end this video in a second, but he's going into more philosophy. He's going into way of thinking. And I think it's so crucial, which is a direct reflection of how he moves and why he's been so successful with his fashion, his music, and everything else.